Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 9 of Uncaged Season 2. My name is Mike Larkin, and by my side, as always, is my boy DC, Daniel Crimmins. Daniel, we are ready to begin the story as we close out Season 2.
Mago, we are ready to begin the story. We're not finishing the story, but we got to begin it. Every story's got to begin somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. So for those that are going to be sticking in with us for episode 9 and 10, episode 9 is the first run of Cody Rhodes' WWE tenure there, and then we'll get to in episode 10 the AEW run, the indie run, and then back to the WWE. So I think
to finish
the story. See what we did there.
Yeah.
So for me, with how we begin this story is he's in OVW. Here's my earliest memories of hearing about Cody. Him and Shawn Spears were a dominant tag team in OVW. And then we first see him in 2007 at the Hall of Fame with him and Dustin inducting Cody. And inducting
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes, my apologies, thank you. Inducting Dusty Rhodes, the baby, into the Hall of Fame.
Let me tell you something. We got to talk about Dusty Rhodes getting inducted by his sons, Cody and Dustin.
That speech was amazing. Let's just put that out there.
Oh, yeah. Like, dude, you talk about greatest people on the mic. If Dusty is not on your Mount Rushmore of talkers in the business, I just don't see how.
I mean, for me, watching him get inducted by his sons, and I'm Dusty, that is, not Cody. Cody, now could you imagine? All right, here's what we should do now. We should have Cody induct Stardust, and that would be hilarious, just like to see the two. There's a friggin' there's a friggin' shot. Cody and
I'd have somebody else dressed as Stardust.
But no, I mean, for me, if you watch Cody's speech inducting his father, inducting Dusty, like, very articulate. It was a great speech. Dustin said his piece, which was nice, but Cody is the one that really shined in that speech.
And, just as an aside, I don't think Dustin ever got the credit he deserves.
Well, for me, I've always said this, from him and Dusty back in the 90s, both in WWF and WCW, and from him branching out to doing the Goldust gimmick and then coming back and doing the whole 7 thing, which lasted very shortly.
One night.
Fear me. And then he was
we gotta mention this. That promo, which I think that was supposed to be a Michael Myers mask.
Yes.
They had, cut the hair off, and he says, "Yeah, I'm 7, by the way. My name is 7.
They want me to dress up like it's Halloween every year. I'm gonna look like the Uncle Fester," and I'm like, Jesus. And then he would go being to the American Nightmare, Dustin Rhodes. Yeah. I do have to say this, when at this particular time in his career, and we'll do an episode in the future about Dustin and the Goldust character, but Dustin was also, this is 2007, so he was not in the best place physically or mentally. No. This would also lead to his TNA run as Black Rain and the Mouse.
Was not bad.
No, with Misty the Mouse and Relic.
Relic, yeah, hell, Relic was his.
Yeah, Killer Spell.
I think was that Johnny Stamboli from WCW?
Johnny the Bull Stamboli from the FBI, WWE, and WCW. Yep. Ugh, good times. Well, I mean, TNA's back, so we can technically say TNA now, since it is coming back next month. So
I never stopped.
Never stopped, man. Ugh. But all right, so Cody does the great induction. We see him on TV, and I'm going to say this right now. He's there with Dusty and the feud with Randy Orton, and Randy Orton slaps the bejesus out of Dusty. Cody gets in there. It leads to his first ever match. What were your thoughts on how they built to the match with Cody slapping Randy back? We get Cody's debut on TV against Randy Orton in a losing effort. What were your thoughts of bringing in Cody into the feud between Randy Orton and Dusty?
We've seen it happen, before. It's kind of reminds me of the whole Dominic and Seth Rollins feud from, a couple years back. It's almost the same scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. I think the Cody back then, it was kind of boring.
Oh, he had that generic music, that.
Yeah.
Yep.
You could tell he was not comfortable.
Well, I mean, he even said it on the documentary. It's like, I was not ready to be called up yet. And here's my thing, and we'll get into the second part of this. But if you remember, like very briefly, when after the whole thing happened with Randy Orton and he wrestled that match, he did do a little mini feud with Daivari. Like he had a couple matches with Daivari, and then he feud with Hardcore Holly, where he would get beat and Hardcore Holly would smack him and beat him up until he finally stood up to Hardcore Holly and beat him in a match. And then they would become a tag team and they would beat Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch for the tag titles. So initial thoughts of talk about being uncomfortable. He has the Daivari matches, then leads to the Hardcore Holly feud, then him and Hardcore Holly as the tag team champions. What were your thoughts on Cody Rhodes' first big thing being him and Hardcore Holly as a tag team?
You know, I always kind of enjoyed Hardcore Holly.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Sparky Plug.
And that may give you a little heat, man, because a lot of people are not a fan of Hardcore Holly's ways and how he used to treat the talent, especially Mr. Matt Capitelli, God rest his soul.
I mean, as far as a trainer, I'm not a fan of that style.
Mm-hmm.
But in ring, I enjoyed his work.
I didn't hate it either. And I mean, we've talked about his brief push with the for going against Brock for the title at Royal Rumble 04. I mean, from the hardcore division, from teaming with Crash, from even back in the day, teaming with the 1-2-3 Kid, he was one that he was a solid hand. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't say he was like main
solid mid Carter.
Solid mid Carter, yes. I think he briefly win the IC title, but it never really got recognized. Like very,
I don't think it counted. I think like it was one of those things. It's like where they do it, like the one night when Jericho beat Triple H for the WWF title.
Mm-hmm.
Because Earl Hebner did a fast count and then it got reversed. Like, I think it was a situation like that.
Yeah, least,
even Marty Jannetty won the IC title.
That is true. Hey, at least it's not like Razor Ramon beating Dean Douglas.
Because HBK didn't want to do the job.
Nope. No, thank you, sir. I will not lose.
Or was that when he got jumped?
He got jumped at that time, yes. By the Marines.
Or was that the Lost the Smile? Was it? I think that was the Lost the Smile.
No, that was the Marines because that was in like 95-ish. 97 was the Lost the Smile.
Now I'm trying to remember if he actually did get jumped, or was that like he didn't want to lose?
No, I think he actually did get jumped because he had like a black eye. And
that's right, because he I think had a couple
of drinky drinks, yep.
Couple brewskis.
But that's the thing, man. And I mean, with Hardcore Holly and Cody, I mean, for the tag team that they had, I mean, it was fine. I mean, the big thing that came out of it, though, was Ted DiBiase Jr. debuts in 2008. He's looking for a tag team partner to wrestle them at Night of Champions. Cody does the old Swerve-a-Rooney, DDT's Hardcore Holly, and Ted DiBiase goes, here's my tag team partner, Cody Rhodes. And then he comes in, does the $1 Million Dream into a Russian leg sweep. Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase are the new Raw World Tag Team Champions. What were your thoughts on then going from Cody and Hardcore to the debut of Cody and Teddy, which would go on to be Legacy? What were your thoughts on Cody and Teddy?
It was something different. We've gotten turns, but not like that. At least that I can remember. It was definitely entertaining. I don't know. I like Ted DiBiase Jr.
Even though he's in a he probably is going to go to jail. Let's be honest with ourselves. He's probably going to go to jail with everything that's going on with him legally, folks. You can look that up. But yeah, he's done a lot of shiznit. He's done a lot of shiznit, Daniel.
But everybody's got a price
for the $1 Million Man, and boy, do they. Now, I'm going to say right now, unfortunately, we're not going to have any more DiBiase parties. There was something. He goes from being the $1 Million Man, and he's like, I want to hang with the common folk and just tailgate. We're going to have some DiBiase parties. That was funny. I'm not going to lie. He went from that to the DiBiase.
And it's sad because, and I know he retired to be with his family, and I always felt like he could have really been something. Like he had a good look about him. Like he looked like money.
He came from money. He came from class.
God, that music was terrible.
And the ladies love me for all my cash. Because I got money and I can do anything.
Like you couldn't have done kind of like a remix of his dad's theme.
But the money.
Something like that. Like you can't like jazz that up a little bit.
No, but he got, I come from money, I come from class. The ladies love me for all my cash.
Hey, it could be worse. It could have been the Legacy theme.
You weren't a fan of It's a New Day. It's a new generation. You weren't a fan of that song?
No.
No?
No.
Who was the one that sang it? I think, what was it? Adela This Way, who also did
Adelita's Way.
Adelita's Way. Thank you.
I think they did the Legacy theme. They did a theme for Cody at one point, like one of his earlier themes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they even did the opening theme for Superstars back in the day.
I'm feeling invincible tonight. Yep. They're a good band. I actually like them.
You don't hear too much about them anymore.
You don't. But I mean, yes. Then so Cody and Teddy are the tag champs. I remember they lose it to the makeshift team of John Cena and Batista when they were going into their feud for SummerSlam.
When they used to give tag titles to like random teams, random two guys that were feuding with each other.
John Cena and Shawn Michaels, John Cena and Batista, John Cena and The Miz.
Undertaker and Steve Austin.
Yes.
Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels.
The Rock and The Undertaker.
Weird tag team. That's another one we could do, weird tag teams.
Yes, we're cooking on the future episodes here, folks. But yes, so Cody and Teddy go from being in that group, and then we get to 2009, and the big thing that happens here, folks, is a little group called The Legacy, led by Randy Orton. And originally, we were going to see Sim Snuka in that, but Sim Snuka would try out, and they wouldn't get him, and then he got released because someone decided, hey, Undertaker, I'm going to miss you on the way down. Oops. And that got him a lot of heat for not catching The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. And Manu, which we'll get to Manu in a second. But what were your initial thoughts of them originally adding Sim Snuka to the group?
Yeah. I
mean, well, they did nothing really with Deuce and Domino at the end. Remember, they fired Domino, and then he wrestles a match, and he's like, yeah, I'm not Deuce anymore. My father is Jimmy Snuka, and I'm now Sim Snuka. That's how they debuted him, as Sim Snuka.
I don't know. I like Deuce and Domino. I like that whole thing. What?
Me too. But that's
didn't they have a team name?
Yeah, Deuce and Domino.
No, I mean I thought there was like some other name.
No, it was Deuce and Domino and Cherry.
And they had that, 50s doo-wop,
I'm
all about cool.
I'm all about cool. If you want to be cool, yeah, as cool as me.
I don't think is Cliff Compton, he was Domino, right? Is he still wrestling anymore?
I'm not entirely sure. I know he's done some conventions. He's a Long Island guy like myself. He's a fellow New Yorker, like both of us. He's a fellow New Yorker. But yeah, no, I mean, Sim Snuka comes into the fold. Manu, who was the son of Alpha Jr. Alpha Jr. Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so Manu comes in. And what were your thoughts of Manu and being the enforcer of Legacy? Because then he would later get released because I think they felt he was regressing in the ring, and
he was not ready.
Was not ready. So yeah, what were your thoughts on them putting Manu in there? I mean, it's very famously known for Randy, Cody, and Teddy, but then you put Manu in there. What were your thoughts on Manu?
Liked him, hated the name. I look at it this way: if you have somebody. There's the famous father or famous mother. Use it.
Yeah, and I mean, he's even said in interviews, it's like, how come they didn't call me Alpha Jr.? And I mean, they didn't want to call him Alpha Jr. They wanted to call him Manu.
I get it. Samoan name, can't you find a better name than Manu? Something that sound because he's supposed to be this big, intimidating guy.
Yeah, kind of like how we have Solo Sikoa now with the Bloodline.
Yeah, just call him Solo. He had Solo.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was a missed opportunity, but that was the problem. Well, the problem is, I think we've seen it a lot with professional wrestling, especially in WWE. They call people out of developmental who aren't ready. And we'll use 2008 as an example. Kazarni came up not ready. He has a match with MVP, and then he's in the Battle Royal, and then he's gone. Poor Chris Harris, Braden Walker, knock, who's there? Braden Walker, I'm knocked brains out. Comes into WWE, has 3 matches, and then he's gone. And yeah,
honestly, there's a way that they could have brought him up while still you know, what they should have done, just have him as the enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have him wrestle yet, but still have him training.
Right. I mean, there's various ways to do it without him having to get too physical. I mean, like wrestling. I mean, he can do like a punch or kick or lay you out, but it doesn't have to be, let's get him in the ring yet. So, I mean, there's various ways to do it, but I mean, Randy, Cody, and Teddy were the group. And I mean,
look at Batista in the early days.
Well, yeah, he hardly ever wrestled. He just came in and beat the crap out of everybody. Even with Reverend Devon testify, like he didn't wrestle much. He was just out there to be the enforcer. But I mean, we get Randy, Cody, and Teddy. They move on into the year 2009, and the big feud for Cody and Teddy is a little group by the name of D Generation X coming back together. Shawn Michaels super kicking the little girl. He's working the normal job, and then chef's hat, goodbye, and now DX are back together because we hadn't seen Shawn Michaels since WrestleMania 25 with his loss to the Undertaker. What were your thoughts on SummerSlam, that match?
Don't forget when he super kicked Stan.
Hey, buddy, what's your name? Stan. Stan. Boom. See, I just kicked Stan.
And I'll tell you, I think Stan, he was a perfect 10.
He was the man who would go on to be Ty Dillinger, Cody Rhodes' former tag team partner. And we will discuss more of good old Stan there and Cody when we get to the second episode, because, oh, my goodness. But anyway, yeah, man, we get to Cody and Teddy against DX, and they had two matches. One was the match at SummerSlam, and I believe the next one was Breaking Point in the tag team submission match. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts on the Cody and Teddy against DX feud?
That was one where I think Cody and Teddy should have gone over.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and you knew they were going to go over.
I mean, they did get a nice rub from them because they did beat them in the tag team submission match. But yeah, the DX reunion, you knew they were going to beat them at SummerSlam. Right. My thing, too, is, again, with DX, I mean, we've talked about the second DX run. It wasn't like it was in, like, 97 and all that. It wasn't. No. But it's still, like, that nostalgia, and just every time that music hits, it's just goosebumps. And, I mean, what also was very much goosebumps a lot of people felt was after this, we started to see some dissension in Legacy. Yeah. Cody and Teddy wanted to break away. Teddy actually pins Randy Orton in the Elimination Chamber match in 2010. And for me, dude, like, what were your thoughts on getting the triple threat match between the generational talent of Randy, Cody, and Teddy, with Randy winning at WrestleMania 26? What were your thoughts about that?
I felt like that could have been so much bigger.
Now, I'm going to bring a memory back into your head, Mr. Daniel Crimmins. Remember they did almost the exact same thing in SmackDown versus Raw 2000, and I believe it was 2010?
I think so, yeah.
You had Dusty Rhodes involved, Ted DiBiase, Cowboy Bob Orton, Randy Orton, RKO's father on the car in his wrestling gear. It was a savage moment, man. But yeah, they turn on Randy, give him a concerto, and he's bleeding. Oh, dude, like video games back in the day, man. Video games.
I'll tell you, like, Randy, I always thought Randy was better as a heel.
I mean, in this role, I believe he was the babyface in this match, right?
I think so. I think they ended up turning on him. Like, I think, he was kind of like bullying them, and then they just snapped and just like beat the heck out of him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, they were arguing and they had a match, and Randy Orton, they told to be the ref, and then they just kicked the crap out of Randy Orton. For me, dude, I thought it was a good build going into it. The match itself, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a nice showcase for all three men. It wasn't bad.
It was
It could have been better, but it wasn't terrible.
One of either Cody, I think honestly, either Cody or Ted Jr. should have gone over.
If I was to pick at the time who should have went over, just because he was red hot of the three, I would have gone with DiBiase Jr.
Oh yeah, dude. I think had he not retired, I could have easily seen him winning the world title.
Yeah. I think there's a good possibility. I mean, they had Lightning Strike. I mean, they were doing big things with him, man. Like, he could have got a big push after the Marine 2 came out and whatnot, but nah, they made him DiBiase Party. He was the funny guy. And then he was the $1 Million Man Jr. with Virgil. He had Virgil with him for a short time, so.
Good old Virgil.
What could have been, man? What could have been? But we move on to a character that a lot of people thought was very dashing, because we saw these vignettes airing. Now, if I remember the backstory of this, like, the divas on WWE.com ranked Cody like one of the sexiest men or one of the most handsome men in WWE, and they ran with that.
I think so, yeah.
And they ran with that. And Cody started doing these vignettes with the Q-tips and just washing your face and whatnot. Like, what were your initial thoughts on dashing Cody Rhodes?
You know, at the time I wasn't a fan of it. I thought it was kind of stupid, but I think it was something that, he was becoming more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. For me, what I liked about it too is, first of all, he comes out, you hear what has now become the infamous "Whoa, you're only smoking."
Something that is now has been in literally all of his themes ever since.
And a lot of people didn't even realize it. Then we realized, oh, there's the connection with the "whoa" in it. Okay,
Like literally everything that ever since.
Yeah, but I like
with the exception of the Stardust theme.
Oh, of course, yes, that's very true, and we'll get to him
because Stardust and Cody Rhodes are different people.
Oh, they're different people, of course. For me, I liked how he came out with the entrance, looking in the mirror on the Tron. I thought it got over to the fact, like, he was into, like you mentioned, he was into the gimmick. He was into doing something new, and it worked. Like, you talk about his confidence. I think the matches that he had at Dashing Cody Rhodes, it worked. You could put him against any babyface, instant heat. Like, he was really good, but a turn came here where he wrestles Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio breaks his nose, and he becomes undashing Cody Rhodes, wears the mask like it's a friggin' American Psycho up in here, and he gets his first ever big match at WrestleMania 27 against Rey Mysterio, and he wins. What were your thoughts on the Rey feud and he becoming undashing, if you will?
I enjoyed, and I'll tell you, for even bigger reason, when he won his very first Intercontinental Championship, and bringing back probably the second most iconic WWE Championship designs ever, the classic Intercontinental title.
For me, like, I love that too. And what I'm going to say to you about this is, and we have to mention this because you brought it up, you son of a gun. Where's that referee? He was trying to fuck on me. So Cody Rhodes beats Ezekiel Jackson for the Intercontinental Championship after Ezekiel beat Wade Barrett, and they had that horrible match with Sin Cara in it that is infamous now, with Ted DiBiase saying, "Where's that referee? He was trying to fuck on me." And he goes winning that Intercontinental title, bringing back the design. But there is something that came out of this, Mr. Daniel Crimmins. He enters a feud with The Big Show. And The Big Show gets his big WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 28 and beats Cody for the Intercontinental Championship. Then Extreme Rules happens. He drop kicks The Big Show in a tables match. And Big Show's foot goes through the table. And Big Show's like, and they ring the bell. And Cody wins back the Intercontinental Championship. What were your thoughts on the Cody Rhodes Big Show feud, baby?
I hated that finish. I absolutely hated it. Like, I don't know what I hated more, that one, or if you remember Sheamus versus John Cena in the tables match from TLC. I think it was 2009, maybe.
So, from what Daniel's
where Cena was getting ready to AA him off the top. Sheamus pushes him off the top rope to the outside and through a table.
And people are like, wait a minute, what happened? What just happened?
And it just bell randomly rings. Like,
yes, because I think
okay, this happened.
Well, that's what they wanted. I think they wanted the shock value of, oh my God. Like,
well, there's a way of doing it, but it's like, it was always said that tables matches don't end off a defensive move.
My thing with that whole thing too, as well, with the Sheamus thing, like, he had just gotten on the roster and they had been pushing him like strong, like, to win that
moon.
To the moon. And he had a very lackluster first WWE title reign, but still, like, it was a moment. But yeah, with the Cody thing, it's just like, it was like drop kick through the table, the foot went through, so hey, a body part went through, so it counts. That's pretty much.
And even Cody was surprised.
Like,
he's like,
I won. Woo, yeah. I laugh about that feud all the time. And I mean, he would go on. Like, the big thing that he had, like, around this time too as well, remember, he was doing the paper bag thing. And him and Teddy got to have a nice Intercontinental Championship match at the end of 2011 as well, which was really good. But one I have to ask you about, going back to 2011 for a second, him and Booker T, man. And he winds up giving the disaster kick to Goldust. What were your thoughts on him and Booker T?
That I enjoyed.
Me too.
I'm a Booker T guy.
Same. And I mean, if you think of, I mean, Booker T's held the Intercontinental Championship. Wasn't a long title reign, but he was the Intercontinental Champion. Like I thought it was nice to see Booker get out there because if you remember
If I remember right, he won it on a house show.
Yes, he beat Christian on the house show in 03. That's right.
Which, just as an aside, I think they should do more stuff like that.
I mean,
you want to get attendance up for live events. Do stuff like, I'm not saying do it all the time, but occasionally.
I mean,
and you don't have to do it with a world title, but do it with the IC, do it with the US, do it with the tag titles or something, so that way people are like, well, that could happen there.
Right. I mean, of course, you think of Diesel and Bob Backlund. I remember Brian Kendrick and Paul London beat Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch on a house show to win the tag titles. There was a lot of that we had back in the day. It wasn't all the time, but we had a lot of those,
Yeah. I think, they should do it more often.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it would increase, attendance at live events. True. Do it in the most random towns too, like middle of the country, places you would not expect.
Billings, Montana.
Yeah, don't do it in like bigger markets, like New York, Chicago, places like that. Do it in like the smaller towns.
I think it works. And I mean, when you look at a guy like Booker T and Cody, I mean, chemistry off the bat. 2011, he came back in the Rumble, big pop for Booker T, and then he did that match, and then he went to ring, announcing and GMing and whatnot. But going back to Cody here, man, like he holds the Intercontinental Championship in 2012, loses it to Christian, and man, for that 2012, what were your thoughts on the Christian feud? And then, him and Cody got a nice little exchange there in 2012 because his 2012 was kind of meh. You know what I'm saying?
He was starting to kind of downslide a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, 2013 became the big thing for Cody because he would find a tag team partner in Damian Sandow, and they were Team Rhodes Scholars, and he grew a mustache, man. What were your original thoughts on the mustache?
I'm going to talk about that mustache.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what I hate more, the Cody stash or the Vince stash.
It's the Vince stash. Vince stash is way worse.
Yeah. Because Vince is great. Like, dude, you're great. Like,
yeah.
I remember, and it looked like the mustache was crooked.
Cody's or Vince?
Vince's.
Yeah, he looked like something out of Boris and Natasha. It's what it looked like. Get Moose and Squirrel.
Or even Gomez Adams.
Yes, absolutely.
He looked like one of those old school movie villains.
Yes, him and Crown Prince and the
Undertaker. Kind of reminds me of like a Bond villain. like the old school Bond villains.
Yes, like you would see in like, Cliff and 007 and whatnot. Yep.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I see when I think of Vince nowadays. With
him and his Crown Prince and Saudi Arabia is our home, and the Undertaker making sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we have Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow as Team Rhodes Scholars. I liked it. I thought it was funny. I felt bad that the WrestleMania 29 match with them against Brodus Clay, Sweet Tea, and the Funkadactyls got canceled, and then they did it on Raw the next.
Literally the last second. They're in Gorilla, ready to go.
Yep. And I think, what was the match that went overtime? Was it Triple H and Brock Lesnar? I think it was Triple H and Brock Lesnar.
Was it? So that was what, 29, right?
WrestleMania 29, yep, 2013 in New York, New Jersey.
I feel like it was either. Wait, no, wasn't it? Was it Cena's match?
No, Cena and The Rock was the main event.
Okay.
I think it was Triple H and.
It was either Triple H and Brock or Taker and Punk.
One of those. Either way, like one of those matches went over, and they tried to like stall.
It was probably Triple H and Lesnar. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, and I mean they tried to stall, but it's like no. Like, we're going to have to cut it. And I think that was the downfall for Brodus Clay in WWE because he could not get past the fact that it got cut. And he was just an angry man. And then he would get released. And
he's even admitted it.
Oh, he has. Like, he was not mature enough to handle the fact that it got cut. I mean, like A-Train can understand. Matt Bloom understands. Like the girls weren't happy, but they didn't really have a hissy fit over it.
And he, from the stories I've heard, again, I don't know if this is true, but from the stories I've heard, he let it be known that day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember on, I think it was Total Divas. Yes,
yep.
I actually did kind of watch a little bit of that.
I was about to say, wait a minute, Dan, are you watching Total Divas over here?
A little bit of the early days, because, I was a fan of JoJo.
Yep.
I enjoyed her. I loved her announcing, and I thought she was entertaining.
And Eva Marie with her...
we don't talk about Eva Marie.
God. Daniel hates Eva Marie so much.
We don't talk about her.
You hate her so much.
It just, like, there's other people that you could have given spots to, but I digress. Anywho, I just think, he stories say, that he let it be known that he was unhappy.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe if he'd been more accepting, because I know they turned him heel.
Yes.
For a bit.
Yeah, he turned on Xavier Woods, who was briefly with them, and Sweet Tea there. And then he wrestled the match in NXT, and then he was gone, like right after that.
Because he pissed off the boss, and he never came back.
And then he became Tyrus, and then he was the NWA champion, and now he's just doing Fox News. He's retired. Yeah, EC3's the NWA champion. Woo. Oh, God. I wish that promotion the best, but when you do an angle that with cocaine and Father James Mitchell, and you pretty much screwed the pooch on getting a CW deal. I know they're on the CW app, but with actually getting an actual deal with the CW network.
And they would have probably had it.
They would have if they would have not done that.
You had the CW wanted to bring in Ring of Honor.
And Tony Khan turned it down.
Because he wants, Dynamite to be, an AEW to be like a package deal.
Yeah, Warner Brothers and whatnot, yep.
Warner's like, no. So then it was NWA, which would have been huge for the talent. Would have been huge for the staff. What makes you think that something like that would have been a good idea?
I think it was a Billy Corgan thing, and I think from what we've read, what we've heard, and we're not there, so we don't know. But like, I can imagine the talent were not happy. It's like, hey, we were about to get this deal, and then this shit happens. They got to be pissed.
Supposedly, talent's upset.
Of course, understandable.
But you know what? I give credit to EC3 for trying. And Trevor Murdoch, former 2-time NWA champion, good old. I think the next show, I think EC3 is wrestling Matt Cardona.
Yes, he is.
Because Cardona never got his rematch.
Yep. So we're getting EC3 and Matt Cardona on NWA, folks.
And funny that when you think of, just as an aside, the two main authority figures on WWE are both former NWA world champions.
And Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, yep. It's the son of a bitch, isn't it?
And for 1 week, all three shows had former NWA champions as general managers. Because remember, Cody was in charge of NXT for a week.
Yes, he was. Oh, we're gonna get to that in our second part.
We're gonna finish we need to finish the story, part one story.
Yes. Okay. So we go from, first of all, it's an aside. I'll put an aside here to use your verbiage, Mr. Crimmins. Cody and Damian Sandow and the Bellas dressed like the Funkadactyls and Brodus and Sweet Tea was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
It was so funny.
Absolutely. Like, if you want to get an idea of the humor of Cody, just look up the video of the press conference with him and Jey Uso.
Yeet.
Like,
do you feel him, sir?
Do you feel him, sir?
Do you feel him, sir? I wish you would ask.
Full disclosure, Ood and I may have had a libation or two on the bus.
Libations?
Like, who says that word anymore?
Apparently Cody does, and then he's like, I wish you would have asked a similar question. Hey, Cody, you know you're on NXT this week. I am? It's so, it's so good. Oh,
But folks, if you have not seen that on TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, it is so out there.
Yep. It's hilarious. Well, somebody put like Last Friday Night by Katy Perry and with that, and I'm like, okay, that wins for me.
And I'll say it, they should have left the titles on them a little bit longer.
Well, we're gonna see what happens as we're recording this. That tomorrow night on Raw, they'll be getting another shot against the Judgment Day. Whew.
Maybe they'll finish the story.
So Cody and Damian Sandow are Team Rhodes Scholars. They have a brief feud with like the New Age Outlaws, and they did that. Oh, you didn't know? Your posterior better call somebody or whatever Damian Sandow said.
Welcome.
You're welcome. And they have a nice little run as Team Rhodes Scholars. But then Money in the Bank happens, and we mentioned this on the last show, folks. Go back and watch Best and Worst Money in the Bank wins.
You should have watched it already.
Watch it already.
Go back and watch it again.
Watch it again. So
watch it with your friends, your dog, your mom, everybody.
Your grandma and your mama too. Word up.
Thanksgiving is coming. You're going to be with your family. Yeah. Why not watch Uncaged?
Watch Uncaged. So Damian Sandow screws Cody Rhodes, and he wins the Money in the Bank. Cody throws the thing into the river wherever they were, whatever water, whatever body of ocean that was, and Damian Sandow goes in to get it, and he's swimming to try to get the briefcase.
Wasn't there, maybe I'm just imagining it, but wasn't there one night where he had booby trapped the case, like Sandow opened it and like got sprayed with like mist or slime or something?
I think that was Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, probably.
That was a year later. Yeah,
I thought there was something with Sandow, and besides
the thing throwing the briefcase into the water. No, I think
I like that briefcase.
It was cool.
Of all the custom ones, I like that one.
The blue briefcase, yeah.
Or the leather, the leather Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yep, the one that came after. Okay, cool. But yeah, then they had a match at SummerSlam, which I believe Damian Sandow won that one, right? Or was it?
I think he used tights or whatever, like grab the tights, and I know he didn't win clean.
Yeah, I remember he did win, but I think it was not clean. So they did that match. Then after that, really, unfortunately, Damian Sandow did not win Money in the Bank. We talked about that cash in, but Cody kind of went into the whole thing where, oh boy, so we're gonna go here, like the start of the Authority, and he loses to Randy Orton and he's fired, and Goldust loses, he's fired, and just everything. And then Dusty gets involved and pretty much goes apeshit on Stephanie. And then you find out that Stephanie's pissed because Dusty Rhodes over here went off script and pretty much put his finger right in her face. And Stephanie McMahon was not happy with the American Dream Dusty Rhodes on that. And
gets laid out by the Big Show. He won up his 50 million heel turns.
And Big Show's crying like, I didn't want to do it.
Which, God bless Paul White. Like he makes fun of all the constant heel turns and the crying.
It's so good. Oh man. But then we get to Battleground, and it's Cody and Dustin, Goldust, against the Shield for the tag titles. They win, and it's probably one of my favorite matches ever of them as a tag team.
Oh, absolutely.
And
honestly, I'm surprised they didn't use that, like in the Cody Roman thing.
I'm surprised.
If I remember right, I think Roman actually took the fall there.
No, Cody pinned Seth in that one.
Or did he?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Seth. Somebody can correct me on that. I'm pretty sure it was Seth. And the same with SummerSlam. I'm pretty sure Damian Sandow won because I don't remember Cody winning. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But either way,
I want to say, I think he used the briefcase, actually.
The SummerSlam match?
I think so. I know the briefcase came into play in some way.
I'm going to freaking kick myself over this. No, Cody won. I was wrong. Cody won. He hit the crossroads.
Cody finished the story.
Yeah. Okay. So Cody won. Thank you, because that was going to bug me. So, well, actually, are we really surprised because the Money in the Bank winner loses like their first feud, and then all of a sudden they just lose, and then they win the briefcase?
Hello, they randomly.
Yeah. Like, hello, Dolph Ziggler. I'm looking at you, sir.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if you think about it, like that night, typically the way it's gone, like the surprise cash-ins, like you'll be wrestling like one of the first matches. If you lose your match, it's like cash in that night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when not Crown Jewel, but the one before it, when Judgment Day lost the tag titles. I thought, okay, Priest's cashing in tonight.
Yes, but unfortunately that did not happen, and yeah, and that did not happen, and Seth retained over Nakamura at Fastlane. But
I don't think Priest is winning the title. I think, you know, that's how they're going to do the face turn. Is he's going to cash in. Mm-hmm. Judgment Day is going to somehow cost him the title.
I mean, as long as it's not like when Braun Strowman cashed it in and he had Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre watching his back when the Shield reunited, and then Brock Lesnar comes in and goes apeshit, and then there's a no contest in a Hell in a Cell match. Not to be confused with Seth and Bray with there's a DQ in a Hell in a Cell match.
Like,
oh, you just ruined the purpose of the Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
Oh, but I digress. So we go from the Money in the Bank with Cody and Damian. We go from Cody and Dustin winning the tag titles. And then they lose the tag titles to the New Age Outlaws. Yeah. And then they have the cage match where Cody does the infamous moonsault. What were your thoughts on the New Age Outlaws beating Cody and Dustin for the tag titles? Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, baby.
Not feeling very oozy about it.
I mean, you bring back the New Age Outlaws to be a part of the Authority, very briefly, and they win the tag titles. Then Cody and Dustin just it starts to where we get to what we're going to talk about here. Cody not feeling.
What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Cody not feeling oozy enough. We'll put oozy enough in this to be Dustin's partner. You know, maybe you need a new tag team partner, and he put people with him like. Okay, was it like R-Truth and all these different partners before we got the reveal of Stardust? Your thoughts of the original debut of Stardust, different move sets, the Diamond Dust, and everything kind of steering away from the Cody Rhodes character. What were your thoughts on them making him Stardust?
They didn't make him Stardust. They're two separate people.
Of course. I love how they played that off so well. What were your thoughts on Stardust?
You know, the gimmick stayed around longer than I thought it was going to. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought it was just going to be like a quick thing, but mm-hmm. it clearly was not a quick thing.
No, and I mean, as we really look at the Stardust character, I mean, I thought it was funny with the Cosmic Wasteland where we get to where he's from, and then, of course, we get him and the Ascension as the thing, and then they're feuding with Cesaro. They're sitting in the Cesaro section, but unfortunately, Cesaro got hurt, and I mean, Cody's even admitted. Like, I thought that would have been a cool feud to see.
Yeah.
Were you a fan of them putting the Ascension with Cody?
Again, you know, something different. Like, I'm a big fan of the Ascension. Like, I love, like, when they first came in, mm-hmm. I loved what they were doing.
NXT wise or main roster wise?
And the NXT run, you know, I think was it? I know it was Connor and was it Rick Victor?
Yes. So it was originally Bram who would go on. Who was Kenneth Cameron, and then Bram got
former Mr. Charlotte Flair.
Yes, before he got fired, and then they brought in Rick Victor. And they were the team. Like, I mean, them against the Lucha Dragons in NXT. I remember
a little known fact, when they were in NXT, a former manager of the Ascension and member was Shaw Guerrero.
Oh, yes, Raquel Diaz, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She was a former member of the Ascension.
Nice. Okay. I remember they wrestled Too Cool on like the first ever NXT
Yeah,
takeover.
for the NXT tag team titles.
Which I think that was Brian Christopher's like last match, right?
I think it was his definite last in WWE at least.
Okay. God rest his soul. But dang, man, like, I mean, you had Cody and Stardust with the Ascension, that whole deal there, and then Cesaro got hurt. I mean, for me, like, if you remember, like, again, with the Stardust stuff, he's kind of like floating. And then we get to 2015 and that infamous match he has with Goldust. And Dusty gets involved, and he's like, come on, Cody, get out of this. Like, he's going to a dark place. And Goldust like, I've been there, man. We got to get him back to being Cody. And what were your thoughts on? Because a lot of people thought this match should have been at WrestleMania, the Fastlane match with Goldust and Stardust.
It definitely should have been a WrestleMania match. It should have had a bigger build. Again, I think it was just a missed opportunity. I know they did it. I think they did in AEW, right?
Oh, yes. I don't need a friend. I don't need a tag team partner. I need my brother.
But more to the point, like, it should have had a better build and should have been a WrestleMania match, because you have a big brother versus brother feud. That's how you do it. Like, for example, Brett and Owen was very well done. We got that in a steel cage match at SummerSlam 94. We got that at Mania 94. So you want to do it on one of the big shows.
Not Fastlane.
Yeah. And, like, take for example now, like, we're probably going to get Jimmy versus Jay
at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
My thing with Goldust and Stardust, like, I mean, they teased a couple times when they were both in the Royal Rumble. My thing that goes along with this is, if you remember before this, like, did you like the fact that, because we talk about Cody and Dusty and Dustin Goldust being the tag champs, like, then they turn heel and then Goldust and Stardust are the tag champs. Did you like the fact that they turned heel and then Goldust comes the face out of this and Stardust is the heel?
Yeah, like, everyone kind of thought it was going to be the other way, and Goldust was going to be the heel. But I'll say this: I think Goldust was better in the later years, honestly.
I agreed. And, well, first of all, a man his age who can still do what he does is absolutely amazing.
At his level.
It's amazing to see. And, I mean, we go from Goldust beating him at Fastlane, and then he's in that ladder match at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship, where R-Truth kept taking possession of the doggone title. And Daniel Bryan winds up winning it, and then he has to vacate it because he gets hurt.
And then
Ryback
wins
it. That happened.
Goldberg 2.0.
Yes, and they had a great ladder match, I will say, at that WrestleMania 31 was a great ladder match. Then the big thing that really happened for Stardust here is him and Wade Barrett at SummerSlam against Neville and Stephen Amell, the first introduction of Era. What were your thoughts on that feud?
That I enjoyed. It's typically, and I think we talked about this last season, best celebrity appearances. That was one of the better ones. I know Cody and Stephen Amell are good friends. Cody's a comic book guy, a comic book nerd, and likes that kind of stuff just like I do. And I thought it transitioned really well. Cody, I know, did a couple appearances on Arrow, and he's got it. Like, Cody has it, like, what you want, somebody that has crossover appeal, that can do movies, TV, whatever. That's what you want.
He has the acting chops.
Yeah,
and that's
he is the son of a plumber.
He is the son of a plumber. Yes. He mentioned in the documentary that he was originally going into acting and he had taken acting classes. I mean, especially you need that for professional wrestling, but he goes from this, and I thoroughly enjoyed it too, because Stephen Amell worked his butt off for that. Yeah. And then, dude, again, we talk about the constant, really general consensus of today's forum is dude, like he kept floating again. Like he was not really doing anything. I mean, WrestleMania 32 came along again, and then I believe they did another ladder match, and he was in that one. That was the one where Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental Championship for a day. I mean, he can say at least he won it, but he won it and he held it for a day. So Zack Ryder can say he had
to have a picture taken with Scott Hall.
Lucky son of a gun. Lucky son of a gun, yes. And then Stardust kind of, Stardust kind of Stardusted, if you will. And I mean, if you're him at this time,
he went supernova.
Well, if you're him, and like he's talked about his release, like you're sitting there putting on the paint and you're in Greensboro where your father sold out many a times at Starrcade and the NWA, and you're tired of it. Do you blame him?
No. I think you hate to say this, but this was right around not long after Dusty had passed.
Yes, this was a year after he passed, correct.
And you don't want them to capitalize off that and make stories off of that necessarily, but if you can make something positive out of something like that, that was the time to do it.
My thing with him is, I mean, he's even said it, like, I think he saw all these NXT guys coming up, like the call-ups were immense at this time. And he's just kind of like, all right, I'm just here to make these guys look good. And I'm like, but I can do more than that. And I mean, I don't blame him. Like he could have done.
Realistically, I think had he not left, he would have ended up in a position like Dolph Ziggler, like Cesaro. Amazing talent, good on the mic, but he's used to get the new guy over.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's good to be that guy. It's good to be the Tito Santana role, because Tito Santana was great in his role. But it's like, you know what? I don't want to just sit around here and just do nothing. It's great to collect a paycheck. Yeah. But there's sometimes, man, like I could do other stuff. And I mean, the other stuff is he decided, hey, man, I quit, and he left. Before we get to like a little of the indie run, talk about the fact that he quits, but he cannot use the Rhodes name because the WWE owns the name Rhodes, and he was just Cody. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was stupid. But more to the point, he took a gamble and he bet on himself. He looked at it and said, okay, well, I'm going to take a risk, and left on good terms and never really outrightly stated anything negative, about the company, which, I mean, he smashed a throne.
We'll get to that in the next episode.
But never really, you get what I'm saying? Like, never really.
No, he never really bashed him. But I mean, for me, it's like he took the high road. I mean, his last name is not Rhodes, it's Runnels. But I mean, I understand where he was coming from, and because Dusty Rhodes was always Dusty Rhodes. But it's just, I can see where he can be infuriating. And I mean, we go from that to, he does a Twitter post that everybody remembers, the list. And he had a list of names on that. What were your thoughts on the fact that, hey, man, I'm out, I'm free, I can spread my wings, and these are the people that I want to face? Like, I thought that was very cool because nobody had really done that before.
Yeah. I thought it was nice. It was something different. And when you saw him in places like small venues, I think it gave him, I think, an appreciation for the craft.
Because he's never done indies. Well, yeah, I did too. I'm like, he's never done indies. I mean, he's wrestling like Jerry Lawler for Northeast Wrestling. He's over here doing Evolve. He's doing all of these shows. And it's like, you know what? I like this. I mean, he can make money selling his merchandise. He can do what he needs to do what he wants. And I mean, he's just enjoying doing him. And I mean, that's the most amazing creative part about it, Daniel. And I mean,
it allowed him to meet talent and make connections. And now those talents have gone on and are now stars in other companies. Guys like Sammy Guevara in AEW, guys like a certain scumbag, the people scumbag, Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Oh yeah,
who's another Long Island guy.
Yeah, like both of us. He's more towards my route. He is from Plainview, which is not too far from East Islip. So, yeah, he's from my neck of the woods, if you will. He's one county over. I believe he's Nassau County. I'm Suffolk County. So he's one county only from where I was.
He's better than us,
and he knows.
We know it,
and we know it too. Yes. So he goes from leaving the WWE, quitting. One of the major things that we did get is it is announced that he is going to be at TNA's Bound for Glory that year for Impact Wrestling. And he comes out. Mike Bennett and Maria are in the ring, and here comes him and Brandy. And they lay out Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. He then has a match with Eddie Edwards for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And then we go back to having the tag with Cody and Brandy against Mike Kanellis, Mike Bennett, excuse me, and Maria. I'm going back to Mike Kanellis from Burning Up With Your Love. Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis, they win. And what were your thoughts on the Cody and Brandy debut in TNA?
It could have been a lot better. I know it was a brief run, or what was it, Global Force Wrestling?
It wasn't Global Force yet. It was still TNA. Global Force would be the next year.
I liked it. It was good.
I mean, the husband and wife against the husband and wife, and he wanted to wrestle Mike Bennett. So, I mean, he got to do that, which was cool. And then also, I will say this, man. I believe, was this also around the time when him and Christopher Daniels had the Ring of Honor title match? Or was that later?
It was shortly before.
Okay, because what were your thoughts on Cody Rhodes' run in Ring of Honor and him winning the Ring of Honor world title?
I thought it was a step in the right direction, honestly. You know, it's I think this is pre-neck tattoo as well.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, this is where Global Force comes into it, because I think he did an amazing job in Ring of Honor. Yeah. He joins the Bullet Club, the Bullet Club. And
which, you know, had to wear the shirt.
I see it. He wrestles Juice Robinson in his debut for New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom that year, which I thought for his first match in Japan for the New Japan Pro Wrestling, great match and a great opponent.
The former CJ Parker.
Yes, but they both had a lot to prove, man, and they both.
Oh yeah.
We see a lot of the Bullet Club stuff. He's in there. We see in 2017 he leaves Impact Wrestling. He was the Gen X champion, I believe it was, for
Next Gen.
Gen X. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. Next Gen. Thank you, Daniel. Very either way, that title did not last long for Global Force Wrestling.
Honestly, none of them did.
No, and like if you remember, like when they brought that in, like Christina Von Eerie was the champ, then she immediately lost it to Sienna, and like they had like a lot of them, like PJ Black lost it, like hardly everybody who came into Impact at the time, which was, you know, merging with GFW, they lost their titles.
I think Alberto El Patron was the GFW champion, and you know, if I recall, another former GFW champion. Yeah,
I loved his run until he lost it to Austin Aries, and then Austin Aries was supposed to face Alberto El Patron. Then Alberto El Patron got into a little thing with them at the press conference, and he left, and that was the end of Alberto El Patron in GFW Impact Wrestling. And Cody, his last thing in Impact was, remember, like Brandy Rhodes was friends with Moose, and then he had like a brief feud with Moose.
Yeah,
that was it for Cody in Impact. And then he would go on to do more of the Bullet Club stuff. And Cody and Kenny Omega, I'm just going to say right now, man, love that feud, love that match.
It was fantastic. Like, I think with those two, they get it. Mm-hmm. Both get it. You know, they understand, you know, ring psychology, which, you know, it doesn't always have to be about spots, about doing, you know, like high spots or, you know, big impact spots. Sometimes it's about the psychology of it.
And I think for me too, like, I think you can attest to this, like when he's doing like the indies and mainly like New Japan, Ring of Honor. And I mean, he's coming off the brief Impact run, but he's really like starting to, I mean, he was good in WWE. He was very solid, but you just see him continue to hone his craft. And it's like, where was this Cody in WWE?
Well, I think at the time, it was WWE, not as much now, but then was very formula. Was a formulaic, whatever the word is, but
Formulaic,
it
yep.
was regimented. Like you knew what to do. You always hear about the WWE style.
Mm-hmm.
You always hear, oh, well, they've got to learn the WWE style.
I mean, I understand it from a point where you're coming from the indies, but that shit doesn't matter when you're in the WWE system. They want you to, this is how we want you to do it. We're going to teach you TV. We're going to teach you, this is our style. This is what we want you to do. I mean, it's smart for the fact that they don't want to see you get injured, but also at the same time, I can understand where people are like, man, I just have to stick with this style and I want to do this and that, but I can't because I'm forced to do this and really learn it this way. I get it from both sides, but I mean, safe and spectacular, man. That's the two S's that go into wrestling, safe and spectacular.
But great feud. I think those are two guys that, couldn't have a bad match with each other.
Not at all. And I think the last part, as we finish this story for part one of this, we mentioned WWE, we mentioned indies, and really him circling and honing his craft from Ring of Honor, New Japan, to Impact and everything that really encompasses that, and him just growing as a competitor. Dude, we're at 2018 now, and we're going to talk about, before we close this up, and then we get to the AEW run for the second part, we are going to talk about All In. What were your initial thoughts of Cody and the Young Bucks wanting to do this big show to sell out, which Dave Meltzer said that it wouldn't happen and whatnot, and he lost that bet big time. And man, Cody and Nick Aldis for that NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, it was big for independent professional wrestling, and just talents that you never saw, like MJF really getting on there against Matt Cross, M-Dog 20, and a lot of talents that did come in on that event. What were your initial thoughts of, hey man, we want to do this show, we're going to back it with Ring of Honor, and what were your thoughts on All In really coming into fruition in its inception?
I thought that took some balls.
It took a lot of balls.
And I remember there, like, until he came back, there was so many times where you would always hear rumors, oh, he's coming back to WWE. He's going to be in the Rumble. He's going to do this, that. So, but I thought All In really was a huge calculated risk.
For me, I mean, him being in one of the main matches with him and Nick Aldis, and I mean, first of all, that match was awesome. For those who've never seen that match and the story that they told, it was great. Like everything from the entrance with Pharaoh and from everything to the culmination of Magnus being that long-ass champion that represents NWA, and here's Cody, Cody's father holding that NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, meant a lot. The story, as we've said that word a lot here, the story was really good for that. And just, it was a badass card. It was something different. I mean, especially around this time, the WWE product was pretty stale, and we needed something new.
Absolutely. You needed some competition.
And competition is what we get, because we're
some
about
elite
to get
competition.
I like your style, Daniel Crimmins. Some elite competition, and we will get into that in episode 10, the second part of our two-part series on Cody Rhodes. We are going to talk about the AEW run, the comeback, the reason for the AEW. So, well, what we believe, you know what I'm saying? Cody has been nice about it, but let's see why he really left. We'll talk about the second WWE run, from the torn pec, still that image, oof, to the feud with Roman, to where we are now. So come back with us for our season finale, and then we'll have our bonus episode, because Daniel Crimmins wants to rip the shit out of AEW Fight Forever. He's an angry man, and he wants to talk about it. So what do you want to talk about?
Do you feel us?
Do you feel us, sirs? Do you feel us, people? So we'll be back for our season finale.
Yeah.
The AEW run of Cody back to the WWE. And yeah, I'm sure we're going to be talking about those idiots, by the way. Let me just say this first and foremost. We're going to really go dive into that, Daniel, but I have to say this first and foremost here, folks. You've said it. I'm going to steal your verbiage one more time, sir. Get over it. The man left. Stop with he was mid to us. We're going to burn his merchandise and whatnot. How dare you, Cody, you goddamn traitor. We'll get more into that in the next one, but stop it. He left. Get over it, people.
The same, I'll just say this as my kind of final thought.
Hit me.
These same people would be back to cheering him if he went back tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. Fickle. To quote Daniel Bryan, fickle. I cannot wait till we get to the final episode. But yes, I hope you have enjoyed our deep dive, our look into and given our initial thoughts about pro wrestling and the wrestling that Cody Rhodes did from us for 2007 to 2016, his first WWE run, and a little bit of what we had on the indies before we get to the AW run. And Daniel Crimmins, before we close this out, as we record this, promo series is in 2 weeks. And Daniel Crimmins is defending that knowledge title against the Captain Dazzy Lee and Ted P. De Niro. I am in promo action against Beer. Daniel and Moses are taking on Captain and Corey for the Max Wrestling Tag titles. Daniel, thoughts?
Yeah.
Fair enough, Daniel. For guys, what I want you to do for real, is check out this show. Check out the playlist on Mike Larkin 92. Subscribe to my YouTube, Daniel. We are 20 plus followers, almost to 700, which, folks, thank you. That is a big thing for us. Thank you so much for listening to the content that I provide, that Daniel and I provide, and everything that is on my channel. We just want to continue to grow and put out the best representations of our presentations, if you will, folks. Check out SM Show 1 and MCL 92 on Twitter. Check out DCrimmins1 on Instagram. Check out StephenMikeShow.com. Check out LFCfights.com. And just subscribe, leave a comment. We love hearing from you. And just thanks for supporting us since we first started doing this.
Click the bell.
Click the bell so you get notified when this episode drops and more episodes.
And you see our smiling faces.
This grill right here, that grill right here. We're now on StreamYard doing our thing here with these recordings because we like the duck. We like that duck.
We like this duck.
We like this duck. Quack, quack, motherfuckers. Anyway.
Jake Hager likes this hat. We like this duck.
Thank you for listening to Uncaged. And to the last final words I will say is, do you feel us? Do you feel us, guys? Do you feel us? Do you feel me, sir?
Yeet.
Yeet. We'll see you in the next episode. Good night, everybody.